In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be advised that a notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board, town hall, and mailing to the officially designated newspapers a list of the meeting dates annually, indicating that this meeting would take place at the town hall at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday, September 18th, 2019. Roll call.
Here.
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 Here. Here. Thanks. We just have one set of minutes, the minutes from August 14th, which were circulated to our board. Don't know if anybody had any comments or corrections that weren't previously submitted. Okay. Did anybody, go ahead?
No, it's on something else, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
One tiny correction, that's all.
No problem. I think the memorialization is not, it's not on our agenda anymore for tonight. I know there had been, so, but let's stay on the meeting minute.
That we did. It's not specifically listed because I didn't know, but the Short Hills Associates, I think, was circulated today.
Right, but we're just good, let's stay on the August 14th minutes. Okay, no additional comments, corrections, great. Do you want to move to approve them? Can we ask who was in attendance?
Elaine, Diane, Gaston, Jorge, Mark, Joseph, Mary, and Beth.
If you heard your name, would you like to move to approve the minutes of August 14th?
I move the minutes.
Great, I will
Approve.
second that.
Second.
Fantastic.
All
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and those who were not in attendance would have abstained. Okay, meeting minutes, August 14th, approved. Eileen, you just mentioned memorialization, but we do not have it on our agenda for tonight, but are we?
We don't have it listed by name because I didn't know this. We were approving it, but I just have memorialization. I don't have it specifically.
We can add it to the agenda.
We can add it to the agenda. Okay, great. And do you have that in front of you so I can read off the correct
do.
number? Thank you. And this is, I don't see the number. Oh, 19014, Short Hills Associates, LLC. Preliminary and final site plan approval. We received the first version and we also received a revised version, I believe yesterday. It was circulated with Eileen's red line changes. Thank you. So, Eileen, is that what you had a,
Oh, I was just gonna say Bloomfield Hills with an S.
can you give us the line number on that?
Oh, I got it.
Oh, you got
At the
it?
bottom of the first page,
And what was
line
the correction?
34. Bloomfield Hills has an S on it, it's listed as
Oh,
Bloomfield Hill. It was very important,
Yeah.
correction.
That's a good catch,
nonetheless.
I tried.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. And Eileen, can I ask also you to read the eligible voters?
Everyone who's here tonight is eligible except for Mark.
Okay. Anyone like to move to approve memorialization of 19014?
So moved.
I second that.
Elaine Becker,
Yes?
Bill Bernstein,
Yes.
Diane Agro,
Yes.
Gaston Halper,
Yes.
Jorge Mastro-Casey,
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg,
Yes.
Maria Salerno,
Yes.
Beth Cole.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Now we move on. Before we move on to our first application, I believe Joe has something he would like
I
to
have
bring up.
a comment about the first the only application. Whoever did the application form made a mistake, and I want to pose to our attorney whether the mistake is such that we cannot hear the case.
What page is it?
On page 5, the question 19, which is, has there been any previous appeal, and if so, state the date and the nature of the disposition, etc. And 3 applications are listed there. In fact, there were 4 prior applications with respect to this property. How do I know that? Because there are 4 of them that are annexed. The minutes of the meetings are annexed, and the one that was left out was, and I can give you the page number, it's page 57. I'm sorry, I think I have it wrong. It was a 1989 case. And let the record show that there is a member of this planning board who actually was a member of the planning board in 1989 and voted in favor of the application. Not mentioning any names, but the question is, does that omission in the actual application on page 5, does that mean that this application was not fully completed?
I'd like to impress everyone to let you think that I just thought about this. Joe was kind enough to call me earlier, and I was able to think about it more than the 30 seconds of Joe's explanation. It is not a fatal defect to the application, and when I looked at the actual resolution that Mr. Steinberg just referred to, it's tied to the next resolution that's attached and the first resolution that's listed on the application page, application number 51A. This is application 51. And what happened was there was a preliminary major site plan approval granted on June 7, 1989. That's the resolution that is not listed but yet attached. And then the next resolution that's attached to the first one that's listed is the final final major site plan approval for that same preliminary approval. So I'm sure it was inadvertently excluded from the list, but it related to the same application. So it's more important to know about the final site plan approval than it is to know about the preliminary approval anyway, given the age. So for those reasons, I don't think there's any fatality here, and the applicant should be able to proceed without any problem.
And for the record, those resolutions or minutes were annexed to the application.
Correct.
So
Mr. Steinberg said that.
The information has been submitted
Yeah.
to the board.
That's correct.
Thank you. Okay.
That's correct.
Yes. With appreciation to your thoroughness and review and appreciation to your counsel, we look forward to hearing your application tonight.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, members of the board. My name is Anthony Sorsillo with the law offices of Levitt and Sorsillo in Millburn on behalf of Salon Society. They seek to open up a salon at 525 Millburn Avenue. It's currently a vacant unit. There are 2 other occupants, J.D. Alterations and Lynn Coles, both retail users. One's retail sales, one's retail services. The vacant space had been occupied by a retail sales user. Our client is a salon defined as retail services, and as a result of the change of the use category, we require site plan approval from this board. And by definition, because of the lot, we need preliminary and final major site plan approval. And in that regard, we request 3 waivers of the zoning ordinance. The first is the submission of an environmental impact statement. The second is compliance with the requirements of the storm water provisions. And the last one are certain technical checklist items. The lot is on the corner of Millburn Avenue and Glenwood Drive. There are 6 striped parking spaces adjacent to Glenwood Drive, and they seemingly look like they're part of the lot. but they are not. They are in the public right-of-way. Directly across our lot, the street, is a driveway access to a municipal lot. We require couple of variances, parking variances. Technically, there are no on-site parking spaces, although there are 6 adjacent to the lot. And also, there is no on-site loading space for any user, so we require a variance for that. Our proof of service has been filed previously. I have reviewed agency reports, 4 of them, with our applicants and expert. I have 2 sets of witnesses, the 2 principals jointly, speaking one at a time, and then an expert witness.
Great.
May I proceed, or are there any other questions of me?
I don't think we have any questions to begin with.
Okay.
Yeah, you can bring your joint
Thank you.
applicant. If, as you will have them for this stenographer's benefit, each state and spell their name and speak one at a time.
Wait, thank you. Jessica Matos and Christopher Delisant.
Yes.
Yes.
Jessica Matos, Jessica
Christopher Delasanti, CHRISTOPHER
Chris, tell the board, who are the owners of Salon Society?
So Jessica and I are 50-50 partners on Salon Society. We both have been working in the Millburn, Short Hills area I've been here for 10 years. She's been working in the area for 18, I think, right?
That,
We're both active hairdressers in the community already, and we're just looking to bring our vision to reality on how we think a space should be run and operated.
So tell the board what type of salon you envision for the vacant space at 525 Millburn Avenue.
So we are both in huge factory setting salons right now, and we're opening, hopefully, a small boutique high-end luxury space where it's literally Jessica and I working on our own clients, and it's a very private, very upscale experience.
What academic and professional experiences do both you and Jessica have?
So personally, I've trained in New York, London, Los Angeles. I've been doing hair for 10 years, like I said, and it's my life's passion, so.
So Christopher, both I are very into education. Chris is a brand ambassador for a couple of companies that reach out to him on social media. I trained with L'Oreal to even educate other stylists in our industry. And yeah, we just want to build more of a community-like setting with talented people, more exclusive, more quantity over quality, quality over quantity. Strike. We'd rather have 2 clients at a time in the entire space, and they just have the most amazing, relaxing experience rather than there be 20 things going on at once. So that's really what we want to bring to the area.
Do any of you have existing clientele in the neighborhood?
Yes, that's how I make my living. We're both extremely busy, and our clients all plan on following us. We have 3 here tonight who are going to say something on our behalf as well, but other than that, yeah, we're, a lot of our clients are in the Glenwood section. They're so
Probably
excited to be
walk.
able to walk to our space and everything else, so it's great.
Besides you and Jessica, Chris, are there going to be any other hairstylists?
So far, when we open, it's going to be just us. I mean, our space is very limited. I think we have like 800 something square feet. So most likely, due to our
Just us right now.
how busy we are,
Yeah.
we're probably not really moving forward with anyone
Yeah.
else.
Keep it exclusive and small and.
What about support staff?
Currently, we're planning on doing everything ourselves. Most of
Online
our
booking.
clients book online or via text message. And then since, like I said, I do 1 client at a time, so does she. We're going to be washing, checking in, checking out, all of the above.
What are your proposed hours and days of business?
Generally, we're thinking Tuesday through Saturday. and 10 to
I'm sorry, can you
Yes.
say it again? I didn't hear what you said.
Tuesday through Saturday.
Thank you.
And it will be generally from 10 to 5, and then Thursday nights we're going to be there from 10 to 9.
Will there be any retail component to the business?
Yeah. Yes. We sell hair products, hair care,
Shampoos,
shampoos,
conditioners,
conditioners, styling aids.
Does your lease allocate any of those 6 spaces to you?
Our lease allocates us 2 parking spaces. Jessica and I already have parking,
permits in
Millburn
town.
parking permits, so
You will not be parking there then?
no.
We were gonna leave
I
it
actually live across the street as well, so
Oh.
easy commute.
yeah.
And who will be using those spaces if you're going to purchase, or you have municipal
We
permits?
both have
We
them.
both do, yes.
And who will be using those spaces then?
We're gonna leave them open for
We're
clients.
gonna leave them open for clients.
Just remember to speak one at a time.
Sorry.
Yeah, for his benefit. It's okay. Just it'll make it calm.
We were gonna leave them open for clients since we both already have the parking permits in the lot across the street. So,
And how will your business dispose of waste and recyclables?
That's actually really exciting because we're partnering with,
Green Circle, so we're partnering with a company called Green Circle Salon.
and they basically, we send them a box of waste every month. Hair clippings go to clean oil spills in the ocean, which is awesome. And then any kind of our metal tubes of color get recycled. All of our unused color, like that we normally would put down the drain, doesn't go into the drain. It goes into a closed receptacle that then gets disposed of. So we're actually really excited about that. It's one of our biggest, proudest things about opening this is that we're going to be, lowering our carbon footprint. And we know that it was kind of important in town right now that businesses were asked to not use one-time plastics and things like that, which is also very important to us personally.
Yeah. Our industry creates 877 ton of garbage a minute. So I think every salon should be forced to do this eco-friendly movement thing.
And we're really excited to do it.
Yeah.
What about supplies? Where will you be purchasing your supplies for the business?
We will have some deliveries, but we also, our biggest supplier, which is Salon Centric, is right in Union. So I feel like, when we don't have things, we'll be picking them up ourselves. But yeah.
And those other deliveries, what type of courier would that be?
Usually I think it's UPS.
UPS.
No further questions at this time.
Can I ask a question, please?
Sure.
Only Mr. Bao's plans, aside from all the misspellings, has a picture of an interior image reference, and it's got a bunch of chairs in there, so I'm just trying to understand why.
So there are 6 chairs total. Because both of us do a lot of color, a client will generally be there for 2 hours, and for a good 45 minutes they're sitting processing. So we didn't want them just sitting in a shampoo chair or in a waiting chair. So 2 of those are dedicated to just being waiting areas, the ones on the left. Or however his reference picture is. So 2 of them are dedicated to just being processing chairs, so to speak. The other 4, Chris and I are using together. So we didn't want it to feel very tight.
We'd
And
rather have more chairs than less.
Right,
For people to be comfortable.
right.
Is that depicted on the floor plan?
Yes.
Maybe you can show the floor plan?
Mr. Susilo, why don't we mark that A1 for the record, and that's the floor plan consisting of 2 sheets, is that correct?
Correct, it's what was submitted to the board members. On page 2, Jessica, please walk the board through the floor plan.
So walking in through the door, to the right, these are where there are 4 stations. And these here to the left are the ones like beyond, next to the seating area are the processing chairs. Then in through here is where we would house, like our color supplies. And then right across from it would be the, shampoo stations. 3 stations, 3 shampoo sinks.
Did you tell us what hours you were planning on it being open?
Yes.
So, what, Tuesdays through Saturdays, 10 to 5, except on Thursdays we would stay open till 9 for working people who need to come after 6.
Thank you.
Will you be marking the 2 spots for your
We were thinking-
business so that it's clear
We
where
wanted to write it with paint on the ground, on the blacktop.
on the blacktop?
Yeah.
Okay, just so that people know where they're supposed to
Right,
use
Right.
those 2 spaces.
right.
Thank you.
Just to confirm regarding that testimony, because I believe I heard that those were in the public right of way, those 2 spots. So I guess as long as you go through the correct means
To
to
actually write.
spray paint in the
Yeah.
public right of way,
Yeah.
just make sure
Yep,
that
yep, because it is
that is
technically, it doesn't look like it's in the street, but
okay. As I
technically-
just, if it's not owned by
Yeah.
the
Even
landlord,
if
then
they decided to take those spots away from us, there's plenty of parking across the street, street parking, whatever else. Like I said, a lot of our clients will walk too, so.
you had a comment. or
Well, I
question?
have a follow-up actually to the chairwoman's question. You said that the landlord allocated 2 spaces to you in the lease, but I'm confused about how they're allocating spaces that the landlord doesn't have any spaces.
I
So-
cannot answer that.
Okay, all right. But your understanding was that he allocated the spaces to which you are referring now that are in the
right, he
street.
said generally each business there uses 2 of them. So I've seen Lynn Cole's clients that our neighbor in there, her clients are usually parked in them and they go in. I don't think anybody knows about them, you know, so they're great that they're right off the side of the building because the clients who go there are always going in.
Okay.
Does, are any of the other spaces marked, or I don't wanna say allocated, because they may be allocated in the leases, but are they depicted or designated
No.
physically?
No,
Did you have another?
No, that was it. Thank
your
you very
comment.
much.
Sure, sure. Any additional questions for these witnesses?
I just have one. Would you be willing to accept a condition, assuming that the board approves the application, that all employees, including yourselves, would buy parking permits?
Yes, we both actually have them already, and we also talked about if we do have employees moving forward, that we have no problem paying their yearly
Thank you.
membership.
To the parking club.
Permit.
Yeah,
Parking
parking.
club. Thank you.
Millburn Town membership.
Fancy and Millburn. Thank you. Any, yes?
Just like a sustainability follow-up, you mentioned that you use hair clippings to remediate oil.
yes,
Yes.
so Green Circle Salons is a,
A third-party company that we pay them monthly to send us a box, and the box consists of 3 different chambers. You put hair clippings in one, you put all the other waste, allocated in each box, and
they absorb.
they use the hair
Absorbs the-
clippings to make
absorb
these,
oil coils. They do these coils that they absorb the oil
You can
spills
look
in
it
the
up, it's
ocean.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
Aquaphobic and allelopathic. They use
yeah,
Yeah.
it's very interesting.
I have had clients actually. The way I found out about them is people donate to obviously like Locks of Love for people without hair, and there's a few other companies as well. But people that have dyed hair or colored hair can't donate their hair. So I actually tried to find a cool way for them to be able to donate their hair. And this company actually, you can donate your hair directly to them if it's dyed, if it's colored, if it's whatever, and they do the same thing. They use it to clean up oil spills, and I think that's super important.
Amazing.
I should ask if there's a
Great.
waiting list.
Any additional questions for these witnesses?
Go ahead, Joe.
You okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank
Joe
you.
has a seat lined up. He picked the seat.
Come on down, Joe.
Okay, thank you. I think we have no further questions. I want to, if the public, there will be an opportunity to make testimony, which you alluded to at the end, but if anybody from the public had questions that they want to ask these witnesses, this would be the appropriate time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I call Richard Keller.
Thank you.
Yes, I do. Richard Keller, K-E-L-L-E-R.
We're ask you to provide your credentials.
I am a licensed professional engineer and planner in the state of New Jersey. I've been licensed as an engineer for a little over 30 years, as a planner for 29 and a half. I have a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from Rutgers University with a declared concentration in water resources and environmental engineering. I also hold a master's degree in architecture with a concentration in urban planning and design, and that is from the New Jersey Institute of Technology, where I was also an adjunct professor for approximately 11 years. I have appeared before this board, the Board of Adjustment, about 110 boards for the state of New Jersey. I provided consulting planning services to the Borough of Caldwell and consulting engineering services currently to the Board of Adjustment and Planning Boards in Long Hill Township, and my licenses are in good effect.
Nice to have you back. Looking forward to hearing your
Thank you.
testimony
In both fields, Madam Chair?
as a planner and engineering. Yes, thank you.
Keller, what have you reviewed, investigated with respect to your testimony?
Well, certainly I've been to the site. I've been to a number of these sites along this area of Millburn Avenue, so I've done a lot of applications. So I'm certainly familiar with the area, both sides of the street. We reviewed the master plan, we reviewed the zoning ordinance, we prepared the survey. Actually, we didn't prepare the survey. We added to the existing survey, and we prepared the site plan that's you have before you. We also did prepare and refer to an exhibit that we prepared.
Stay tuned.
A2.
This is an aerial photo. It is taken from nearmap.com. The date of the photograph is actually April 5th, 2016 in the early afternoon, and we've superimposed over that both the lot lines taken from the town tax maps as well as the zoning line, and we've indicated each of the uses as well as the parking lot that is across the street behind the buildings on the south side of Millburn Avenue, fronting on Millburn Avenue, that being lot 14. The property itself is a corner lot, It's 5,125 square feet. It's on the northwest corner of Millburn Avenue and Glenwood Drive. It is about a 50 by 99.5 foot lot and is located wholly within the B3 Neighborhood Commercial Business District. It is unique in that it is along Glenwood Drive. Glenwood Drive is probably the only right-of-way I know of in this area that's actually 100 feet in width, because it has a drainage culvert that comes down the center of it, so it has an expanded right-of-way, and then on either side of that drainage ditch is the southbound and the northbound sides of Glenwood Drive. And off of that, on both of the corner lots, are parking spaces that on the subject property are actually wholly within the right-of-way, and across the street on what was the Ganny Russ optician, which has been vacant for a while, those spaces are probably 2/3 in the right-of-way. Historically, though, those spaces have been used exclusively by each of the corner lots. They're not technically public, but they're in the public right-of-way. And in all the applications we've done on both of these properties, the police have never had any comment regarding their use. The applicants, we did make them aware quite early on that technically those spaces in the town right-of-way are not on the subject property, so whatever's in the lease, if the town at some later date decided to take them away, those could be removed from the site. We think that certainly the use and this neighborhood can support the parking variance even though if those 6 spaces didn't exist. The Public Lot 14, I'll just quickly run through that. Well, first of all, with regard to available parking, besides the 6 spaces that exist on the site, there are 24 parking spaces on the street, metered, 3-hour metered spaces between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. on the north side of Millburn Avenue. And on the south side, there's another 25 spaces in that same period. So there's a total of 49 3-hour metered spaces along Millburn Avenue. And then in addition to that, there is the Municipal Lot 14, which contains both business parking, residential parking, as well as metered parking for patrons. And the disposition of that is that there are 98 spaces in that lot. 21 of them are metered, 2-hour meters from 9 to 6 p.m. There are 4 unmetered handicap spaces. So there are a net of 25 spaces available for customers in that area. For the business permits, there are 13 business-only permits, 45 business and 24-hour combined permits. So there's a net of 58 business spaces available. So certainly there's more than adequate. Chris actually has a residential permit, but certainly any of the sorry, keep putting the wrong property. Any of the future or current workers within the hair salon would be able. There's plenty of available public permit parking in Public Lot 14. With regard to the survey, and I guess this is exactly what you have as part of your package, but we'll mark this as A3. This shows the survey. If you look quickly, if you can see on the tax map, it really stands out that 100-foot wide driveway, which kind of allows for those parking spaces, those perpendicular parking spaces to exist in that right-of-way area. But if we come down to the survey, which we've supplemented only through the addition of showing the street parking and the curbing, and we show the extent of the floodplain that comes up in part of Millburn Avenue, but actually doesn't touch the property. You can see again, the property is that 50-foot by 99.5-foot lot. There is a building on the front portion of it, which is 2,750 square feet. It's about 50 foot wide by 55 foot deep. It is set roughly 10 feet back from Millburn Avenue, which meets the required setback. It is basically just about touching the right-of-way on Glenwood Road. So we do have an existing non-conforming condition as to front yard setback towards Glenwood Drive. There is a 35-foot lawn area in the back of the property from the back of the building to the property line. That is a lawn area. There is a concrete walk that provides doors to the back of each of the spaces. Otherwise, it is a fully developed site. The site is slightly over on building coverage, but it's actually well under on lot coverage and way under on FAR, where 52.2% exists and 75% is permitted. As indicated, there's the location of the 6 parking spots. There is no loading space. I would point out that there is no planned change to the site. This is a change of tenancy. A few years ago, this was actually a nail salon. It converted to a retail, and when it converted to a retail, under our current ordinance requirements, that change of use group means it went for site plan approval for the same amount of parking space variance. And now that we're converting it back to a retail service, we need to come back for a preliminary and final major site plan, because the site requires more than 10 spaces and there's more than 50% building coverage. So we're back for a site plan before this board. But there is no change to the outside of the site other than the words Salon Society, which we put on the pavement at the back of the sites, of the spaces. There's no change to the outside. There's no increase in the building coverage. There's no change to the property. There's no increase in impervious. And there's no increase in the amount of parking required with this tenant versus the prior two. We, in terms of the zoning table, you can see there's an existing non-conforming condition with regard to front yard setback on Glenwood Drive. Building coverage at building coverage is at 50% is permitted. We're at 53.66. That's also an existing non-conforming condition that's not changing. With regard to the parking, 5 spaces are required. We technically have none on site, even though there are 2 available to this tenant. The proposed use also requires 5, and so we have a deficiency of 5 spaces, and we are required to have 1 loading space, for which we have none. So we need variance relief for the loading space and for the proposed parking. With regard to the environmental impact statement, this is a fully developed site. It is fully serviced by utilities. It's not in a floodplain or any other area of environmental concern. There's no increase in impervious area. It's received environmental impact statement waivers in the past, and we ask that you grant that again for this application. With regard to the parking and loading variance, this is clearly what we see as a C1 variance under 4055 D70 C1 of the municipal land use law. This applies where the existing size of the lot and the location of the lawfully existing structure on that lot create a hardship in meeting the parking demand. Essentially, this entire building requires 14 spaces. If to get those 14 spaces on site, you would have to remove more than half the building to do it, maybe all the building, because just to get a parking module in there, you turn it into a parking lot. So clearly, that's not the intent of the ordinance. I would say this application, in addition to meeting the hardship requirement, it does advance a number of the purposes of the Land Use Act. General welfare and safety, leaving the building as is, does preserve the character of the neighborhood. It's a small commercial use to meet the needs of the neighborhood and community. Most in the neighborhood do rely on metered parking in the municipal lot. We looked at any attempt to replace that lawn with on-site parking. First of all, probably be prohibited because we're in a riparian zone for the stream. So we want to keep that lawn area. It is an area of prior disturbance, but it is lawn. It does have an environmental benefit. And secondly, we really couldn't get any safe parking layout and back out anyway. So we think it's certainly better to leave the site as it is and rely on the ample both public street parking and municipal parking lot in the area. It also provides for commercial use in the neighborhood. This is my clients have been asked by their own clients to go out on their own, provide something that's a small boutique type service in this area. A number are excited. 3 are here tonight to talk, but they're excited about the fact that it's in the neighborhood and they can walk from the Short Hills neighborhood. It also is anytime we can fill a vacant site, it makes for a better visual environment. With regard to the negative criteria, I don't see any negative impact to the public good. They were willing to buy 2 parking permits and for any future staff. There are 49 spaces on the street within 2 blocks. It's a very low intensity use. Even if 2 customers come and are backed up while 2 are finishing, it's a maximum of 4 customers on a site, which is pretty low intensity, and they'll already be parked in the public lot. It is a limited and complementary parking demand. Their hours are such that they, except for Thursday night, they don't compete with any of the 3 restaurants in the area, Enzo's, Kuntai, and Nelly's, which actually are probably the most vocal in complaining about getting parking on the street. We think that there's no substantial impairment to the master plan. This provides a use that is permitted, and it reinforces the goals of the B3 zone, which is to provide for small-scale commercial activities to serve the needs of residents of the surrounding area. And again, we certainly think this will provide services to both people who live in the enclave as well as the significant residential area, the R6 to the north, and perhaps someday even to some of the residents that might be in the Saks Fifth Avenue building if it ever happens. So we think it's a great use. We think it's consistent with what's gone on. We think it's consistent with the neighborhood, and we ask that you approve it.
Thank you. Questions for this?
I just have a question, something about the application. Just, what is this blue dotted line?
The blue dotted line is the zone line, I believe? Yeah.
Yeah, the B3
That's the
zone?
difference between the B3 zone and the R6 behind.
That's what we thought, but it's not, good guess. Okay, thank you.
I have just one question. In talking about the parking and intensity, you posited 2 people finishing up their appointments and 2 waiting. Suppose there were 3 and 3. Same
I still think
conclusion?
there's more than adequate parking in that area for the times that they operate in the limited schedule. I think they're far less intense than most are. And we all know that these type of personal service uses are the ones that feed what little retail we have left, and they certainly feed during the daytime. There's cross-fertilization. That's why the Township Committee moved the parking from 2 hours to 3 hours. So the people who came for salon treatment, first of all, you get your hair done, I understand it takes 3 hours anyways, but you can tell I haven't had my hair done in a while. But if you do go to, for a simple cut, you now have time to go to Enzo's for lunch or to Nelly's afterwards. Unfortunately, the bakery is now gone. Squirrel and the Bee. But there is an opportunity for, during the daytime, parkers will use the other commercial areas, and at nighttime, they're gone, so it really doesn't compete with any of the restaurants in the area. So I think even if we had 6 or 8 customers on the site, I think this site can certainly adequately handle that.
Thank you.
I have a question. I was reading the previous applications. There's a mention of requirement of 5 evergreens being planted on the site. I know that, applied to the, this is from the 1989 settlement. I just didn't hear in any descriptions or notice on the site plans if there are any trees on site.
There are trees in the back along the buffer to the residential
Okay,
zone.
maybe that's what it was
And
referencing.
I may have some pictures. I don't think I have a picture of that area.
So
actually.
on the minutes, which is towards the rear, it's numbered 72, the
Yep.
page, and it's letter C, 3C.
Yeah, I will
Previously,
say,
they were supposed to plant a buffer of 5 evergreen trees, no less than 6 feet high. This is 20 years ago, so those would be, if they did it and they were there.
and I have pictures of the front of the site, but if you look at and we screen the background because it gets too dark, but if you look along the back buffer,
There
above
are
the
those
word
trees.
PQ for property in question,
Yeah.
there is an evergreen buffer that's along the stream, so I suspect that that's
Might do that.
those 5 trees.
It was a nice green line there.
Great.
That's it.
Thanks for confirming, yeah, because I knew there were not trees in front, certainly not evergreens.
No, there's actually attractive foundation plantings, but there are no evergreen trees in the front, so they would have to be, and again, I don't have the exact photo, but
That's it,
judging
the
by
rear.
here, I think
Okay.
they're right along there.
Thank you, yeah, and that's probably just providing a buffer between the residential neighborhoods. Thank
It's
you.
pretty thick. I was out there today. Now it's summer still, but you can't see to the residents behind. Between the fencing and the evergreens, you cannot see between the properties.
Okay. Additional questions? Okay, great. Any questions from the members of the public for this witness? Okay, thank you. Okay. At this point, I'd welcome the public testimony from anybody from the public wishing to speak. So have you come on forward to the, you can do it together. You'll each be sworn in. Yep. Yes, yeah.
Bunny Yuko. U-C-K-O. 17 Windermere Terrace in Short Hills. Okay.
No, you go.
Oh, I
you
speak
bet.
in Linda.
It's okay.
So I'm just here to speak on behalf of Jessica and Chris. I've known Jessica for more than 10 years. She's been taking care of my hair, and she did it today. She is a consummate professional, and she has worked in several salons, and I've been at all of them, and she even ran her own salon for a while, and I'm very confident that they will have a wonderful place to enhance the community. So I'm just speaking on her behalf.
Thank you.
Yes.
Your name and address of our
My name is Linda Leiby, L-E-I-B as in boy, Y, 56 Meadowbrook, one word, Road. I'm here in the Glenwood section, and I would be one of the walkers. I second everything Bunny has said, and I've known, we've known her, good Lord, it's a little embarrassing actually, but a good 12, 15 years I would say, watching your little one grow up as well. And Jessica has also helped me in the last year in a very profound way in my recovery and in my journey with cancer and how to manage my personal care, since this was an adventure that I was not prepared for. So her thoughtfulness that she extended to me, I'm convinced she extends to all her clients. And it's a very special experience working with her. She really has your best interests in mind. And I'm a big, 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 big fan. So we're thrilled if she can be working in our neighborhood. And I think our neighborhood would benefit. We do have some openings and stores in that part of town, and to have a community-minded individual or individuals running a shop would be really, I think, a blessing for our neighborhood.
Thank you for your testimony and for sharing with us.
I do. I do.
Your name and address for our testimony.
My name is Dennis Hepworth, H-E-P, P as in Peter, W-O-R-T-H, and I live at 42 Twin Oak Road in Short Hills. And I've known Jessica for about 5 years, and I just met Chris. And Jessica has not only cut mine, but my wife and my kids are also loyal customers of Jessica. And I would ditto the comments that have been previously. Jessica is highly professional, extremely smart, very smart businesswoman. I've just got to know Chris, and he's also seems like an amazing guy too, as well, in terms of his just his abilities on social media and how to market and advertise. But I also have another unique relationship with Jessica. I'm a realtor for Keller Williams. And I do real estate in Short Hills, and over the past few years I've worked with Jessica in terms of showing her properties, and I would say that Jessica is very smart and very cognizant of what's involved in terms of operating a commercial building. I was not involved with this particular site, as this was it was basically being leased by the landlord without realtors. But I've had the pleasure of working with Jessica and find her to be extremely smart and savvy, and I think they'll do a great job, and I think this will be a great addition for Short Hills in the Glenwood area.
Many thanks.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, should we have our discussion first, or talk about the EIS waiver request first at this point?
We should do the EIS and the waivers. There was a request for a waiver for the EIS from stormwater provisions and technical checklist items, all of which were noted in the engineer's checklist review. You heard the testimony regarding the EIS and the stormwater in terms of external activities taking place. So we should take a vote on that.
Great, so that said, we'd like to take a vote to continue to move forward on the application with regard to the waivers that Ed just outlined.
So a motion to approve the grant of waivers?
The grant of waivers, not the full application, but the waiver
So
granted.
moved.
Okay.
Do you need a second?
Yes, please.
You got it, second.
Elaine Becker?
Yes?
Cheryl Burstein?
Yes.
Diane Aglo?
Yes.
Kathleen Hopper?
Yes.
Mary McAfee?
Yes.
Bruce Steinberg?
Yes.
Mark Mansell?
Yes.
Mary Salerno?
Yes.
Ed Solon.
Yes. Okay, great. That out of the way, there was 2 variances.
Yes.
The proposed parking and the loading spaces.
Correct.
And I also heard us discuss the provision that Joe mentioned regarding employee parking permits for existing and any future. So all employees of the salon would be required to have a business permit or a parking permit.
Like one
In
of them
Millburn.
has a residential
Yeah,
permit.
residential, a Millburn parking permit. I think, is that sufficient? Okay. Other questions or concerns or? No? Okay. Did I outline that correctly? Are
You
there
did, and
others?
there'll be the standard conditions in that we normally put in, but the special ones you've mentioned.
Okay, so with those, does anybody want to make a motion to, okay.
Second.
Okay. So Miriam seconded and Cheryl made the motion.
Elaine Becker?
Yes?
Cheryl Burstein?
Yes.
Diane Aglo?
Yes.
Kathleen Hopper?
Yes.
Mary McAfee?
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg?
Yes.
Mark Mansell?
Yes.
Mary Salerno?
Yes.
Ed Solon.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Best of luck. Okay. We do have some new business. If you guys are welcome to stay, but if you want to pack up and leave, we'd encourage you to do so. And I think you can also be dismissed. Thank you. Yeah. Great, and hopefully everybody has the stapled packet that we both received it, and I had it in front of me tonight. two copies of it now, but I believe it's identical.
They're the same.
They are the same, okay. Just for the fun of it, okay. The new business is with regards to ordinance number 2543-19. This is the business districts zoning ordinance, specifically the amendments to section 301 definitions, 606 zone requirements, and 607.2 the parking requirements. So what we received, and Eileen, to put you on the spot if you could confirm, we had previously received this, it had marking up, but this is the same, this has been amended since in these specific sections that you called, or this is the same document that we had previously received? Okay, great. Okay. And at that time, we received it, we reviewed it and discussed, and found at the time it was consistent with the master plan. The master plan has not changed since, or it was found to be not inconsistent with the master plan. Has not changed, so they have asked us to re-review upon the first reading, which was September 3rd. Yes, and then the second reading, which they're looking for any input that we may have, will be at the next meeting, I believe.
Right.
Was it September 3rd, or it was last night when it was
No, it was not,
reintroduced?
no, it was introduced originally September 3rd, and then it's going to have its second reading at the first
Yeah,
meeting in
October.
October.
Okay.
I guess it's October 2nd,
Mhm.
maybe?
Yes.
Meeting on Wednesday.
Yes, the Wednesday
not
meeting.
meeting.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Right, due to the change in the holidays and whatnot. Okay, thank you. So, thank you. So that said,
So I do have a question.
Go
With
ahead.
something I didn't notice last time. It's not a big deal at all. So just curious. For the B4 district,
Which page are you on, Mary?
I am on page 3.
Okay, got it.
I didn't notice the last time that there's a strike through physical fitness studios and it's replaced with showrooms. And so is that
They did that because, we're now permitting instructional schools and studios, which will encompass physical fitness studios.
Oh, it's
yoga.
just-
okay?
That's
And so
permitted.
that's different than health, because I see there's a category for health care,
Right. There's
health
one-
and fitness facilities.
And there's also one for instructional schools and studios, which is.
So something like I'm just concerned if something like Flywheel closes, that it would be able to be replaced with another fitness
Right.
use. Okay, that was my question. Great. Okay.
No, I have another question. We didn't have any comments. We talk about that, about the setback, about the third floor on the back.
That's not in this.
No, but we didn't mention that in the last meeting when we talked about this.
We did.
Yeah, we did.
We did.
And what
Those
was,
were not incorporated into the ordinance.
okay, that will be for zoning.
That would,
it could
it's
be.
not to say that it won't be at some point, but for these purposes, I think it just went up to the third floor and it didn't talk about the setbacks. It didn't mention the setbacks.
Okay.
Yes, I do believe our recommendation, and I think you drafted a letter, was that we as the board found it not inconsistent with the master plan,
Comment.
but additionally, yeah, some comments.
Right.
I think that's what you're
Yeah.
mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that did get forwarded to the board at the
Right.
time, and I guess they just chose
Stick with
what
this
they're
one.
going with. And that's why it has come back to us in the same form. Yeah,
Okay.
fair question. So, barring any further discussion, concerns, or considerations, we would look to make a move to, again, determine that this is not inconsistent with the municipal master
Sorry,
plan.
I'm just gonna stick on the health and physical fitness thing for a second
Yeah.
because I like having gyms downtown, but also I just wanna, cause so as it's written on the definitions page, instructional schools and studios provide classes instructions for, it says dance, yoga, Pilates, personal training, academics, and athletics, and so is that doesn't include, but then specifically for health and fitness facilities, we mentioned weight training, strength conditioning, and all these other things, and it seems like either they're redundant, or if,
No, but health and fitness.
what's the
are-
I'm just trying to understand the
health and fitness
distinction.
facilities are geared to encompass more like the can-dos,
The bigger gyms,
bigger,
okay.
and have all this different kind of stuff. The instructional schools and studios is meant to encompass the smaller yoga,
Okay.
the more boutique-y, that would be in the
But so something like Orange Theory that just opened in town, would that fall under which one of these categories? Because it seems like a gray area to me.
They would fit under the instructional schools and studio.
Okay. Even though they're mostly running, jogging, weight training, and strength conditioning.
But they're probably more like a one-on-one kind of.
They're not a one-on-one. No, it's a group class. So I just want to, yeah, it's not really instructional. It's sort of like and same thing with the F45 that's just opened up next to the Busy Bee. Busy Bee, is that what it's called? What's the indoor
art
play
studio.
studio?
It's actually next to Orange Theory also.
It is also,
Yeah.
right. So those kind of places that are like circuit training, which are now kind of the newest fad in fitness, don't cleanly fall into instructional schools and studios.
Yeah, it's gonna probably be, it's gonna take a little while to
It's a
kind
case
of
by case.
differentiate everybody.
Okay.
So we're really gonna have to look at
Well,
exactly what they're offering.
It says strength conditioning, which is kind of more health and fitness facility. I would think Orange Theory would kind of.
Right, Orange
Right.
Theory would fall under health and fitness. As I'm currently reading it, which is not allowed in the B4 district with these changes.
It looks more like it's meant to exclude the larger,
Right, so should we have like a size?
because it says include accessories, sauna, steam room, showers, lockers, that kind of stuff.
And they don't have
which
that.
sounds like-
Right.
Right, that's what they don't want downtown.
So
Right.
maybe we
The
we
difference is when you look like an Orange Theory and F45, those are really more class related. It's not, you don't walk in on your own and do
Okay.
whatever. It's
Right,
class, it's
right.
at 6
Right.
o'clock and you meet till 6:45. So I think that's where you would catch the F45s and the Orange Theories and those types.
So maybe we just need to add like a word here for like, it says personal training, maybe fitness classes or
Well,
something.
it does say classes, which provide classes or instruction.
But then it says for, and then it lists like specific things. I guess I see it. I just want to kind of cover us for.
So what kind of classes aren't
I
included?
would consider the Orange Theory and the F45 more
Personal training.
related as opposed to, jogging, that kind of thing, kind of thing.
Okay.
Right, I mean, the word personal training appears in both sections,
Yeah.
so you're right, it's more just sort of a determination of
Yeah, and it does have athletics.
whether it's a, I think the distinction between it being, you're coming in for a specific class, everybody who's in the facility
doing the
is
class
there
together.
for that class that they have signed up for
Mhm.
for a certain amount of time versus coming to a gym.
2 hours when you do the weights and the
Right. Okay, like a New York Sports Club or a Canada, that kind of thing. Okay. I just wanted to understand the distinction and make sure it wasn't confusing for people who are.
It's quite possible that as time goes on, we might have to hone the definitions a little bit,
Sure.
which is not a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
As we might run into.
Our zoning officer's making the call.
Yeah, it's fine. You're making the call, so I just wanted to make sure that I was
Yeah, no,
understanding
I wonder what
it.
she would think.
Yeah.
Right, you wanna feel it's giving you enough description so that you know what
I'm comfortable with it.
to do.
Okay. Okay.
Well, that's helpful.
I don't really have any problems with the,
The personal fitness training. Go ahead, Joe, sorry for cutting you
I don't even know how to spell personal fitness. But I will say that I think there was an opportunity in this ordinance to begin to address the issue which I don't think has ever been satisfactorily addressed of parking in the B4 district. I know we have a very complicated ordinance that in some instances doesn't work. And I'm thinking of one case in particular. There was the Pancake House. There used to be a Pancake House, and it came before the zoning board, current owners, came before the zoning board, and we tried to deal with the parking requirement based on this relatively new section of the ordinance that we have now. The problem, nobody knew what the prior parking requirement was. there was no way to know. I mean, there was nobody in the room whose memory was, by memory, was able to say how many tables and how many chairs were in the original restaurant.
That came before this board, and we discussed that here.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, that was planned.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's good.
It seems to me that both boards deal a lot with issues in the B4 district, and there's got to be a way to solve the problem. I remember asking our planner maybe 5 years ago, is there any ordinance in the state of New Jersey that he knew of that exempted parking requirements where, for example, in a downtown area, the building occupied more than, say, 85% of the lot? Or alternatively, there was no access to whatever vacant space was still available. And he said yes. But that's not the ordinance that we ended up with. So, and we have a very strange situation here in Millburn. We've got a zoning ordinance that requires X number of parking spaces based on square footage. But we have a B4 district where the master plan says that parking in the downtown area is discouraged on site, and what is encouraged is use of the parking areas, parking lots in town. So we've got a very weird situation here. The zoning ordinance says, for this type of use, thou shalt have X number of spaces per 100 square feet or whatever. And you have a master plan that says, no, we don't want parking on site in the downtown area. We want the parking lots and the parking garage now to be used. And I don't think that, I think that this ordinance, proposed ordinance change, again, feeds right into that strange dichotomy, where, for example, the art studios and galleries, one space for 800 square feet, educational play centers, one space for 200 square feet, etc. This is not the time and place to deal with that issue, but I don't think in the B4 district we've ever dealt with it appropriately.
Yeah, I think the zoning board should.
Well, I think the town planner,
should provide this feedback. Like I think you're onto something. Not saying, oh yeah, go ahead and do it. I'm saying like I think this is
well,
a very valid.
unfortunately, this ordinance doesn't come before the zoning,
No,
comes
but
before the planning.
but as it pertains to.
I've spoken to the town planner myself.
Okay.
It hasn't done any good. So,
Wasn't it in our annual report?
It probably.
yes, I think it was in the annual report.
It'll be in next year's too, I'm sure.
Probably.
Yeah,
As it was last
and the year after that, and the year after that.
Exactly. Listen, at some point, you know.
And then we'll all be like Elaine. 17 years from now, people will say, oh, you voted yes on that.
So do we just make a motion that it's not inconsistent with the master plan?
That is what we're looking to do this evening.
I'm gonna make that motion.
I'm gonna second that motion.
Elaine Becker,
Yes.
Sharon Murphy,
Yes.
Diane Agba,
Yes.
Ashley Halpern,
Yes.
Brian Asher
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. The next planning board meeting will be held, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Well, when is the next meeting?
October 16th.
October
You have a whole month.
Now I'll make the motion.
We have a second. Second. The next planning board meeting will be held on October 16th, 2019 at 7:30 p.m. in Town Hall. Meeting adjourned at 8:36.
A new world record. Well, it's better than the zoning board. We adjourned at 11:16,
Oh, no.
and it was Eileen's fault.
Oh, no.